I might be out of places to go here. This might have been the wrong route.
So recently I met up with a bunch of subscribers in person and we chatted, so forth and so on. And the number one question they asked me was, how many times have you almost thought you were going to die making a video by yourself in some remote location? So I started thinking about it, and there was a lot of times. And in this particular video, I'm going to show you all those times and explain it as it was happening for your entertainment. I almost died, and hopefully you'll get a good laugh out of it. How's that? At any rate, if you want to see what I'm talking about, you're going to want to sit back, you're going to want to relax, and you're going to want to check this out. And before we start this video, I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button, as well as hitting the little bell right next to it so you're notified of all new videos. Here we go. So over the past few years, I've been to a lot of really epic remote places, and I've managed to get some really awesome footage. But I've also done a lot of dumb things that could have got me incredibly hurt, if not killed. Okay, let's set the table. In this particular video piece, you can hear the guy spotting me. Well, this isn't one of the times I almost got killed, but it was just one of the times that I did really stupid stuff alone. I was on Cane Creek in Moab, Utah, four-wheeling by myself. Now, if you take note of the truck, you notice that the driver's side mirror is gone. The side of the truck is all dented, and it's covered with mud because when I met these guys, I had just tipped the truck over. This was about an hour before I did this. So they helped me rig up some winching, we stood the truck back up, and we carried on. But I tend to go places completely and utterly alone. And if I'm not climbing up things that are really dangerous or driving on cliffs that are really dangerous, I'm out looking for animals that are really dangerous, and that can get dumb. And usually I'm carrying something sharp, pokey, and metal. And I'm 55 years old, and I seem to forget that quite often. For instance, in this clip, I'm driving on Imogene Pass in Colorado by myself at night. Not the brightest thing ever, and you may remember I ended up on national TV last month because of this. And in this video, they called me a quote-unquote off-road expert. Well, they didn't mention all the incredibly dumb things I've done by myself and almost gotten killed.
Disaster on this scary stretch of road popular with tourists and known as one of the most dangerous in America. Now it has claimed new victims. Two nurses and their tour guide driver killed after their Jeep plunged over a cliff along Camp Bird Road in the Colorado mountains. How dangerous and treacherous are the roads in this area?
There's a million unforeseen things.
This haunting photo of a jubilant Diana Robles was snapped shortly before the deadly crash. The 28-year-old and her aunt, Ofelia Figueroa Perez, both dedicated nurses from Yuma, Arizona, were on a vacation, taking in the breathtaking scenery. Ami Robles is Diana's grieving sister. Did you know they would be on such a treacherous road?
I didn't have any idea.
Off-roading expert Richard Comito has driven the dangerous stretch.
These are one-lane, twisting, curving roads carved into the side of a mountain with 100 to 1,000 foot drops on either side. No guardrails. It is probably one of the scariest things you'll ever do. Indeed, one of the scariest things you'll ever do, and yet I'm driving up there. No one knows I'm going up there. I'm driving in a vehicle I just bought, and I'm driving at night, simply to get astrophotography shots that nobody really cares about. But that's what I do, and that's the point of this video. Just to get footage, I've done some of the dumbest things, and I'm going to show you the top 3 that almost or easily could have got me killed, and I didn't realize it until afterwards. Let's start in the Ozarks, shall we?
You need to shut your tamale hole.
No, not those Ozarks. These Ozarks in southern Missouri. I'm with my buddy Jason Harris, the owner of Ozark Overland Outfitters, and he was kind enough to take me down the river in a kayak. And he asked me, do you know how to use a kayak? And I'm like, dude, I use one on the Atlantic Ocean all the time. Not a problem whatsoever at all. I know how to do this, dog. I got this. Famous last words. So fast forward, we're only in 8 inches of water. I'm following Jason. He's trying to give me instructions, and I'm just waving him off because, dude, I've paddled a kayak numerous times on the Atlantic. This is just a smooth, flat river. I don't need any help. I got this. Plus, the entire point of this episode was to find cottonmouth snakes. That was the goal. I wanted to get footage of cottonmouths. But first, we had to negotiate the river. And right there and then, that was a problem for me.
Shit.
I managed to get myself wedged under a tree limb, and the kayak was filling with water rapidly. Again, I'm only in 12 inches of water, but I'm jammed sideways under a tree with the current trying to jam me even worse. I did everything I possibly could to get myself out of this log jam, and finally just stood up and tipped the kayak back over and carried it over to the shore. It was quite the Godsmack, we'll call it. So that was hilarious. But I managed to get the kayak empty, and we started to float down river, and night was falling. So we started to see some activity, and we saw a water moccasin swimming on top of the water, and when he saw us, he ducked under the water. And I got footage of him going by, but that wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed to get closer. You guys needed to see what me poking a cottonmouth looked like in real life. And that's basically what I went and did. For those of you that aren't aware, at nighttime, cottonmouths will sit on the rocks and warm themselves up, so it's a perfect time to find them. I'm rolling right up to the rock and bumping into it with my kayak with a really poisonous snake sitting right there. What could possibly go wrong? So I'm rolling right up to these rocks in the kayak with a snake sitting right there. And because I'm such a little kid, it doesn't dawn on me that the snake can easily strike me. It just didn't dawn on me till afterwards. And these are highly venomous snakes. You're down. This is a 4-foot water moccasin that I paddled right up to. He was a big boy. And on this rock right here, there's a copperhead sliding into the water, as you can see. At the end of the day, they warm themselves on hot rocks. I am literally 2 foot away from this water moccasin. I had wondered how it would be I'd be able to videotape these guys because they're always moving so quickly. Well, this was the perfect way. This copperhead was just kind of hanging off the side of this rock. And remember, I'm at water level. Another copperhead. They were literally all around me. It was amazing. Utterly amazing. I had finally found the snakes I was looking for, and not one or two, but a good half dozen. Now that was a video clip from a video I put up 2 years ago about hunting venomous snakes. Now at the time I didn't realize how much danger I was putting myself in, but I mean, I'm 6 inches away from a 4-foot cottonmouth. I'm 11 inches away from a copperhead several times. But I just do stuff like that like a little kid. I'm just so enthralled with the fact that I'm so close to really cool wildlife like this alligator right here that the danger part doesn't really compute. For instance, this is a YouTube short that I put up. I'll leave a link for it. But for instance, I ran across a rattlesnake trying to cross the road, and he was going the wrong way and a car was going to hit him. So what do? I help him cross the road. Who doesn't, right? What could possibly go wrong?
You gotta go, buddy. Hurry up. You're almost there. Go. Go. Go ahead, man. I ain't gonna mess with you. Just go. Get out of the road. It's pretty big. It's like 2 foot long. Go, dude. Go. Go, go, go. It's like you just ate. There you go.
Now, in hindsight, any one of these reptiles could have struck and killed me. I was more than close enough to all of them because I was focusing, no pun intended, on getting the video. I was so happy that I found a rattlesnake that I could actually help, or a cottonmouth on a rock, or an alligator. But every time I got this footage, I was so remote, so far away, that if any one of these animals had struck me, I never would have made it to any type of a quote-unquote hospital or so forth. I do have a snake bite kit in my truck, but I mean, come on. It's a plastic thing with a suction cup on it. I don't think it's going to do anything. But this is one of the times I should have or could have been killed. So there you go. Now, here's some other times when I just did really dumb stuff that really got me hurt. And maybe could have killed me, but it's not going to be in the top 3. Now this one here is a 2-parter. I'm in the Mojave Desert and I'm trying to split a log made of ironwood. And as you can see, the log bounces and smashes me right in the knee. Or in the shin, I'm sorry. And it's just awesome. Watch this. Ding! Yeah, that sucked. Especially because about a month prior, I did this to the same exact leg. Bam! Beautiful. So I'm at a campground at Point Reyes, California, way off the map, way out west, putting a watch band on a watch, and I turn around and bump into my bicycle rack and ripped my shin bone. I ripped my leg open straight to the bone. And it was ripped open so badly that it didn't even bleed for 10 seconds. You know you're hurt when you're wide open and can see veins and corpuscles and whatever else. And I'm way out here on the West Coast at night alone. And I got to administer first aid. And this thing probably required between, if I had to make an educated guess, between 65 to 90 stitches. And I couldn't stitch it up because of the position that I was in trying to do it. I tried to staple it and just couldn't do it. It was horrible. Now people should say, this couldn't kill you. Well, yes, it absolutely could kill you because I went all night in a tent, in humidity, in the heat, with a massive trauma to my leg. It was unbelievable. I have never seen, I've dressed and cared for people that have bullet holes, knife wounds, etc. I don't know what to tell you. I grew up in Lynn, Massachusetts. It's a thing. It happens. And I had never seen a wound this bad, especially on me. Right here, it doesn't look too horrible, but that bandage has only been on there for about 34 minutes. And I completely cleaned it and dressed it. I had to keep dressing this wound for 2.5 to 3 months, and it's 4.5 months later, and I still have a large cut or scab, which is gross, but it is what it is, on my leg, and a massive scar. So that's the number 2 time I could have been killed, and I was doing the most benign thing. I wasn't running, jumping, hiking. I was standing at my tailgate. I turned around, hit my shin, and ripped it open. I couldn't believe it. I looked down. It was like I was in the Matrix. I couldn't even understand why I'm looking at this on my leg when I don't feel any pain and it wasn't bleeding as of yet. But it is what it is. And fortunately, I had a ton of first aid with me, as I always do, and I took care of it. And because I took care of it and cleaned it 2 to 3 times per day and kept rebandaging it, it healed. So there is that. On to number 3. Now let's look at some things that I do that I think are fun. But let me remind you, I'm completely alone at a place called Flat Nasty in the Ozarks. And I'm on what's called a Black Diamond Trail. It's made for buggies and truggies, not for 7,500-pound overland vehicles. And I'm doing this. No one knows I'm out here. No one knows I'm out here whatsoever at all, and there's no phone service. And I'm daring my truck to flip over, tip over, catch on fire, or worse. I find it enjoyable. It's what I do. And if you've followed this channel for any length of time, you've probably seen videos of me doing all sorts of wacky trails that don't seem like a great idea at the time, but once you're there, you have to do them. If you build it, they will come. Well, if you build a truck like I do, you have to use it. You can't just go to a coffee place and sit around and talk to your buddies about how cool your truck looks. I don't care how cool the truck looks. I wanted to make it up these trails and then get me home afterwards, or a reasonable facsimile of. And there isn't very many times where I didn't think the truck wasn't going to get me home. There were many times I thought the truck was going to tip over, flip over, or worse, but there was only one time where I was truly scared and we had children with us. I didn't have children with us. I was with another vehicle. Somebody from the area, somebody that knows the area and is considered an expert. But you have to remember, anybody can be called an expert. For instance,
Off-roading expert Richard Comito has driven the dangerous stretch.
so you see what I'm saying? Even an off-roading expert can be wrong. And on this day, he was. So again, let me set the table for you. You're looking at me leading another Land Cruiser up a mountain pass. And the mountain pass brings us to Cheyenne Mountain, or NORAD. Yes, the real NORAD.
Shall we play a game?
We're going to drive on what's called a shelf road right over NORAD. And it's an awesome trail. It's an awesome trip. It's a scary road once you get up there because the road is only wide enough for one vehicle, and in some places it's not wide enough for one vehicle, but you still have to push forward because you can't back up and you cannot turn around. And if you look at the terrain, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And also, if you look over the side, you can see crumpled up vehicles that didn't make the trip, because it really happens. People go over the sides all the time where I go four-wheeling. It is what it is. I've been lucky. I've been cautious. I've been careful, and I've equipped and built my trucks properly. And again, I've been lucky. But the terrain is so rugged and rough, even when you're not in the vehicle, just walking up here, you can get seriously hurt. For instance,
take. This dude.
Got that on video.
Hurry up and take this because I'm sliding.
I'm coming, dude.
Yeah, it's not as funny as it was a minute ago. Wow.
So you see what I'm saying? Even walking up here, you can get really hurt. And I did. But imagine this road if there was some sort of a blockage or blockade. Because just driving down this road can be very, very nerve-wracking, put it that way. Just hitting a bump can tip the truck over. Or make it seem like the truck's going over when you're in the driver's seat. That right there, yeah, you're going to need to check your trousers afterwards. Trust me. Now here's that same road in the summertime. I'm following somebody that lives in the area that told me, hey, let me show you a place called the NORAD Shelf Road. And I follow him because he's a local. He's got a Land Cruiser. He knows the area. Well, he brings his 2 kids and nothing else. No tools, no extraction apparatus like shovels, jacks, etc. And we run into an avalanche. And he tries to drive through it, and all that happens is the truck starts sliding uncontrollably towards the edge. The edge goes straight down 1,000 feet. I'm not stoked about this. I'm actually quite frightened. And we've got 2 small children with us, which is just the worst thing ever. And this don't look good. We can't turn around. We can't back up. We gotta go through this. So this would be the number 3 top time I thought should have or could have been killed, and I can't believe we weren't. Fortunately, because I brought all sorts of tools and such to extract yourself because I cruise alone, we did make it through. But on that day, I did not see it that way, and here's what it sounded like on that actual day.
Bit of a bind here. You see what I mean? We ran into snow and we thought we could get by it. So if anybody finds this phone, we made a slight error in judgment. We're trying to turn him around, but we got to dig his out. Fortunately, I brought 2 shovels. Unfortunately, we have 2 kids. No, I'm not doing that right now. I'll make a video after we turn around. Truck pushed too much. Smell it. There it is, there it is, there it is. Oh my goodness, those Max Tread Pros work great.
So we managed to dig a track wide enough to get the truck through for the most part, but we still had to blow through it because we had to go through it to get up ahead and turn around, and there was absolutely no guarantee either one of us was going to make it successfully. And it was one of those times that I just grabbed the wheel, put it in 4 low, hit the skinny pedal, followed his tracks exactly, and hoped for the best. And fortunately, luckily, the grace of God, we made it through and back down and got those 2 little kids back down to safety. We did not see this coming. I didn't know you could find snow up there in the summertime, but we did. At any rate, let me show you a couple of honorable mentions. A few times that I got way too close to wild animals and probably should have or could have been killed. This time I was driving through Harlan County, Kentucky, and I came around a corner and saw a couple of tiny baby cub bears. And they were so cute, I just had to get out and start videotaping them. And they were doing their thing and they were being cute, and it wasn't too long until I noticed, wait a minute, these 2 can't be alone, the mother's got to be around. And she was right up there in the wood line, and she was coming crashing down. Fortunately, I made it to my truck in time and all was well. But she was coming at me like I was a picnic basket, and it would have been a bad day for RFB or JBO or whoever I am. off-road expert. You know what I'm saying? So this last one I'll throw in here is I was in Washington State and I was looking for Bigfoot. Yeah. And that search took me from Washington all the way down to the Redwood Forest, and I was trying to find it. And I used all means available, off-roading, drones, and I even jumped in my buddy's helicopter to see if we could find him over to Mount St. Helens. And we searched everywhere. We had cameras, and we were looking, and he was looking, and it was cool because he's in his 70s, and he's a pretty accomplished guy. And you know, when you own your own private helicopter, you kind of got your shit together, and he did. And yet, he told me stories about Bigfoot and people that he knew that were corporate people that had run into them on excursions, etc. And I was stoked. And the Mount St. Helens area had always been steeped with stories of the United States military, the Mount St. Helens volcano erupting, and Bigfoots being rescued by the military, etc., so forth and so on. Well, it turns out that trip was unfruitful because, you know, there's rules and regulations and permits and so forth. But then I headed down to the Redwood Forest. And while setting my camp up for the night, I inadvertently captured this mysterious howling that really freaked me out on video. You can hear it quite clearly. Now, I've had this video for over a year, and lots of big game hunters, guys that hunt elk, guys that hunt bears, and you know, whatever is big stuff, city folks don't hunt for. These guys have all listened to this, and none of them can identify what this is, period.
And here we go. Those are either coyotes or wolves. That's the second siren I heard today. Whatever is howling is creepy. Creepy AF.
Now, what was that? I don't know, and you don't know. And like I said, none of the big game hunters knew either. Could that have killed me? Should it have killed me? I don't know. That's why I'm popping it in at the end. It freaked me out, and I did not sleep well that night. At any rate, it's almost the holiday. I hope you enjoy the holiday. Spend every minute like it's your last. One of these days, you'll be right. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Leave a